Alive-o, alive-o. Here we are. It's a Thursday night as I record this. As often when I do that, you can probably hear Star Trek next door. I'm here in the kitchen with you. And yes, as I titled this video before war, looking at what's happening in North Korea with someone like Trump, who's clearly completely out of his depth, saying things about, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do something. Well, you know, we might as well have a good time while we still have that opportunity, because it might not be very happy times for a while. I'll probably say this a few times, so if you're seeing this now, you're one of the people watching it back later. I'm trying to get my beard to go across. Yes, because there's always a little lag between when I go live and when people join. So this little ramble at the start is, as I always say, it's for the people who take the trouble to watch it back later. Be interested in how and why people do that, actually. I mean, I've known when I've made long videos before that weren't live streams, they were just long talking videos. People have often said things like they treat it a bit like a podcast, like maybe they're doing housework while they're listening. It's not like it's visual, you know, there's not that much visual information going on here, it's just me. So it's good as a background. Now, hello, Big Bad Ads and Aussie Brick Chick. Ooh, suddenly the numbers are going up. So people coming in the virtual door, and g'day to you, Patman, Sport and Stephen. And we're all rocking and a rolling here. It's like, yes, let's all stare down the end of the world. Ahoy to you too, Peter Thrupp. Ugh. So, hi-ho vid, no vid for you, Heine. Well, I think that's a problem at your end, Heine. You maybe need to refresh. I don't know. I think someone else would have said if it's a problem. Hi, Tendai. I think someone else would have said if it was a problem for them as well. So, if you're not getting a video, that's maybe refresh the page. Oh no, you can see it was just a delay. It's just a delay. One of those things. Lag. Oh my god, I have so much trouble getting. Like if I put my hands out there, then my face isn't flared out, but then my arms are going to get tired, and that would look very weird too for the whole video. Now even I've gone a bit green. I notice. Now I put that down, and it goes, oh, what I corrected. Now I've gone yellow, and I'm all flared out again. You put an envelope next to me. Does that? No, it goes, go there. No, it wants to do it. I'm just playing with that. It's like, I wish, see, if this was my camera, I could lock it there. I could go, okay, oh, that's where we want it, lock it there. But the iPhone just auto balances for what it can see all the time. So I put my hands down and it's gonna flare out of my face again. Oh well, such is life, I imagine. Such is life. Who are the true Aussies out here who know who that is a quote of? The reputed last words. Their reputed last words were "such is life." No, it's not the Second Emu War. I'm hopefully being light-hearted and exaggerating. There we go. Everyone knew. Ned Kelly. All the good Aussies knew that was Ned. That's reputed to be Ned Kelly's last words just before he was hanged. Such is life. Of course, it's very hard to know if he really said that, because I often suspect famous people, when they have last words attributed to them, someone is maybe trying to make them sound more philosophical or wiser or funnier. I mean, it's one of the famous wits, right? Oscar Wilde possibly is reputed to have his last words as he's lying in his deathbed, as he hated the wallpaper, and he said, either the wallpaper goes or I do. I often think people are being overly generous. When I talk about, you know, let's have fun before war, I am sincerely worried about Trump being so far out of his depth with this tensions in Korea, that he does something really stupid and drags us all down with him. Because he is very stupid and very impetuous. Che's last words: "They've come to shoot me. Shoot, coward. You're only going to kill a man." That actually reminds me, there was notorious gangsters in London's East End in the 60s called the Cray Twins, twin brothers, and they were very hardcore guys, and one rival heavy that I think it was Ronnie shot in a bar. The guy's last words when Ronnie comes in with a gun, like, "Go on, you haven't got the bottle." In other words, his last words to a guy pointing a gun at him was, "I dare you to shoot me. I don't think you've got the guts." Yeah, that's not exactly glorious last words, that one. It was a similar reputed one in the 1920s, maybe 30s, in Sydney, Australia. We had some hardcore criminal enforcers who were known as the Razor Gang, enforcers for the big crime bosses in Sydney. And there's a guy called Chow Hayes, nicknamed Chow Hayes, because, I don't know, his friends thought his eyes looked vaguely Asian, so they nicknamed him Chow, which was a derogatory term for Chinese. So Chow Hayes was an enforcer for the big crims, and someone who was trying to knock him off killed his nephew thinking it was him, and so Chow swore revenge, and the guy disappeared for a while, but then he eventually came back to Sydney, and they were in a very crowded nightclub, and Chow saw him and walked over him and said, "You and me got something to talk about." And the bloke went, "Well, you know, if you want to talk, we can talk here." He goes, "No, not here. Let's go outside and talk, just you and me." And the guy's like, "I'm not going anywhere alone with you because you're gonna kill me." And Chow's going, "No, I'm not. Just come out and we'll talk, you and me." And the bloke sort of basically takes the piss out of Chow and says, "If you're such a big man who needs to talk, say what you got to say in front of everyone." And Chow went, "Fair enough." And in the middle of a really crowded dance club, he just pulled out a gun and went bang, bang, bang. And there's again last words like, "Oh, if you got something to say it here." Bang, bang. It's like not very glorious last words. I saw someone asking why I was angry at Telstra, the phone company, because my phone didn't work for over a week. And there was an element of it getting cut off that was my fault, in as much as it was about an overdue bill, because I moved house a couple months ago, and I was getting all the mail in my name redirected, but I forgot I have multiple Telstra accounts for different phones and internet, and I forgot I had some phones under my company name, and I forgot to have mail for my company forwarded here. And so I wasn't getting this phone bill, so it didn't get paid. So when my phone stopped working, I called Telstra and said, "Why is my phone not working?" And they looked up and said, "Oh, there's an outage. Hopefully it'll be fixed soon." And every day they said there's an outage. And I said, "Can you check what's wrong?" And I just twigged. I had twigged that I hadn't got a phone bill, and then I realised, okay, I need to tell them church address. Someone said they'd do it and they were going to email me a bill. And I thought, I'm going to pay this now just in case it is the bill. These idiots keep telling me it's a technical fault, but maybe it's my bill and they're too stupid to know that. But no, everyone kept telling me it was a technical problem, and the person who said they were going to send my bill didn't. And then after a week, I finally got the shits, and I was talking to someone, and they have this online thing that I'd never registered for, so I registered for it. And I go in, and yeah, and sure enough, my account's overdue, which I kind of knew it was, but they said that wasn't the problem. They said it was a technical problem. If they'd have told me a week earlier, it's like, "You gotta pay your bill," I would have paid my fucking bill. But I wanted them to send me the bill because I don't want to pay it with credit card. I want to do it through BPay, so my company pays for it, not me with my credit card. And it was the fucking bill. As soon as I found out it was the bill and called someone and said, "What the fuck? Why? What the fuck? Why have you guys been telling me it's a technical problem when it was the fucking bill, you fucking idiots? I could have paid that at any fucking time. I was just waiting for you fucking idiots." That was a fucking week with no phone. And I paid it and I got it back now. But, okay, there was an element of my fault in that I didn't pay the bill, but they didn't tell me that was the problem. They said there was a technical problem. I would have paid the bill on the first fucking day if they'd have said it. And I asked for the bill and they didn't send it when I asked for it. And fuck them. Fuck them so hard. This big fucking stupid, overly complicated system, and they don't talk to each other, and it fucking shits me. Ugh. Fucking Telstra, man. But every big company is like that. This is why I always laugh at people who have conspiracy theories. The Bilderberg Group, the billionaires are secretly running the whole world. That's spoken by someone who has no understanding. They've never worked in a big company. They don't know how it works. People are so self-interested. You don't even get people from the same department in the same company around a table agreeing on stuff, let alone all these different companies agreeing and acting in collusion, a different country. I mean, yes, you get individual cases of companies colluding illegally, yes, and governments working in some sort of collusion, but the idea that everything is run by a secret, shadowy Bilderberg Group, whatever, New World Order, it's just fucking stupid. Of course, rich people act in their own interests and they try and convince other rich people like, hey, we could do that and blah, 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 blah. And they do collude on various things and they do rip us all off. But the idea that there's like a shadow world government running everything is really stupid, and it's put about by people who just don't know people very well. Well, Biori, I agree with you saying like logic would suggest Trump would be the last person people who wanted cohesion would choose. But the conspiracy nuts will say that, that's diversion, you sheeple. You don't realise they're trying to divert you from what they're really doing. Is it drugomaniac? Yes, I agree that if there was a world shadow government, they're very incompetent. They are not very good. They are very uncoordinated and not very effective. It's kind of like, that just reminds me of the phrase intelligent design, which is a bullshit weasel phrase used by creationists who want to pretend they're not creationists, because they're sort of clued in enough to know when you just straight out say you're a creationist, any sensible person writes you off, because creationism is fucking stupid and is not only unsupportable with any sort of evidence, it's 100% refuted by available evidence. So creationism is by definition fucking moronic. But they go with intelligent design. They say, intelligent design. It's like some intelligence put the design in place and we came, and they'll say so, and I'll be honest for a second, if religious people want to say evolution is real and it's God's plan, I don't care. Just don't interfere with science. You can say your magic man in the sky has evolution as part of his plan. That's fine. I don't care. You can say that. Just don't interfere with science. But like when the people say intelligent design, I just want to take them to task and go, really? Really? You're talking this fucking mess that we've evolved into was part of an intelligent design? I mean, semi-intelligent design, maybe. I mean, because, let's just rate everything. Like, if the person is claiming they're an intelligent designer, we could rate them like, okay, let's start on the pluses. Sex, that's, look, A+. If the human body was designed and sex was a deliberate part of their design, A+. That part of the assignment gets you an A+. That's friggin' awesome. But it starts to fall apart a bit later. There's such stupid design in our body. They break so easily. What's with disease and cancer and various other illnesses? That's ridiculous. Why would you design such horrible flaws in? And even just more mundane things like shitting. And that's gross. If you're an intelligent designer, you wouldn't go like, after you consume the energy you need, you create a waste product that smells really bad and is gross and can spread waste. And what? It's like, why? Why would you design that? That's a terrible design. No, F for the whole excretory system. You know, like, but things that taste good and food and alcohol, I'll give you an A for that. But the excretory system, no, F. That's the worst thing you could have done. That's terrible. You know, why don't we just like plants? Why don't we just exhale gases that's all the waste that we're not consuming? You joke, big bad ads, but that's the answer that super fundamental religious people do. Why do bad things happen? That's God's judgment. That's because of the fall from Eden. That's God testing us. It's like, you literally can't have a logical discussion with someone who wants to be a fundamentalist. It's not possible, because their arguments aren't based on logic, evidence, or facts. And it's like, if you keep it to yourself, I'll be fine with you. Okay, heat of the British summer, same joke as the cold of an Aussie winter. Well, technically not, because, okay, I understand why when it hits 30 Celsius in a place where people generally don't have air conditioning and stuff, and you don't generally get that hot and you have high humidity, I can see that's sweltering and really uncomfortable. I think like 30 in England is probably like 40 here. So while there's an urge to sort of go, oh, your palms, you're so soft. If you're not used to it, it's brutal. And talk about, you know, the joke of Australian winter, it depends where you are. I mean, in Melbourne, it was getting to about freezing this week overnight. It's been a very mild winter, but there's some cold things. But if you get up into the high country, because we do have mountains, sorry, what? Sorry, I'm not sure what... There was a comment there about human waste used as fertilizer in what countries. I don't even know how that's relevant, because I would also then go back to it's not very intelligent design if your plants need shit to grow. That's shitty design. Huh? You see what I did there? It's shitty. Side note, because I had a problem at work with the toilets not working properly. You know, ever notice when toilets don't work, it's very hard to describe their lack of function apart from saying they're shitty or crappy. You know, oh, it's such a shitty toilet. Yeah, that makes sense. But yes, but we're talking about cold weather in Australia. If you go up in the mountains, of course, it gets very cold. It snows. I went to college just across the mountains west of Sydney, and the record cold when I was there was minus 14 Celsius. This was a place where in winter sub-zero temperatures were normal overnight. It would freeze all the time. But yeah, if your Sydney is very mild, Melbourne is usually mild. You see, Kelly, my point is that's not intelligent design. That's gross. If I'm going to grade you on, hey, you know what would make your food grow good? Shit. I'm going to go, okay, I thought this was supposed to be intelligent design. That's fucking horrible design. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying it's not intelligent. Yes, RC, you're right. From what I understand, human waste used as fertilizer raises all sorts of disease risks. You have to have various controls and whatnot for, to control that. But yes, the fact that shit can grow food isn't intelligent. It's gross. So it's just the randomness of evolution. Vicky's saying Stephen Colbert said astronauts convert their pee. Maybe, I'm not sure. I thought they actually ejected it into space, actually, and they just had enough water for their trip into space. But I am not an expert, so I won't contradict that at this point. Oh yeah, you can distill urine. It's sterile. You can distill it and whatnot. Maybe put something so it doesn't smell so bad. But yeah, I thought they actually ejected it into space. Like I'm sure I've heard stories of how the pee shooting out into space and freezing is really pretty. Frozen urine going past the window, catching sunlight is really pretty. There's a poem in that, isn't there? Oh, Buzz Aldrin is a legend for punching that moon landing denier. Hi, Ori. We're now in space. We've already covered a lot of ground in the first 20 minutes, and now we're talking about urine in space and Buzz Aldrin punching people. That great footage during the week of Donald Trump trying to make a speech and Buzz Aldrin just looking at him like, the fuck is wrong with you? Why are you incapable of forming a coherent sentence? What the fuck is wrong with you? I gotta admit, I'd be very interested to what's happening at the moment. Speaking of Trump and being incoherent, the people in the armed forces and in the State Department who know how volatile the situation in North Korea is. It's like, okay, yes, look, technically, we could attack them. We could launch a bunch of missiles at them and probably contain them and whatnot. Probably go very badly for South Korea for a little while. But the fact that it could spiral out of control so quickly with Russia and China, I wonder just how terrified people in the Pentagon and the State Department are at the moment, trying to rein Trump's tiny little toddler ego in and go, no. There are actually repercussions. If you make a wrong decision in an armed conflict, you could cost millions of lives. So pull your stupid, ugly, fat head in, Donnie. I imagine it's a really fucking stressful time in the Pentagon and the State Department right now. As a side note, I'm reading a William Gibson book, The Peripheral. Buzz flew 66 combat missions over Korea. I didn't know that. I am reading William Gibson book, his most recent one called The Peripheral. Finally got into it. It's fucking fascinating. Moves at a breakneck pace and doesn't explain anything to you. And you have to get about halfway through the book before you really know what's happening. But it's talking about the future and people being able to interact with the past, and a global collapse that came to be called the jackpot. And it was no one thing. It wasn't like an apocalypse. It wasn't like a nuclear war. It wasn't just climate change. It wasn't just a pandemic. It was just a series of fucked things, different things collapsing, different societal structures collapsing, and major disease outbreaks and major catastrophes caused by climate change. But it was no one thing. It was just, it's this sort of awful, depressing, mundane collapse. It's not like, oh my God, yes, and then the nuclear war happened. It's like, no, that didn't happen. It's just like, it was just a series of things that were all completely predictable and really comparatively mundane, but because they all happen over a period of about 50 years, it, like, you know, causes a huge collapse around the earth. The name of the book, Jahetma, is The Peripheral. The name they give the really depressingly mundane collapse in the book, it's just called the jackpot. And I'm sure I'm about 3/4 of the way through. I'm sure they're going to have an explanation of why they call it the jackpot, who coined the term the jackpot. Yeah, but it's just depressingly believable. It's absolutely depressingly believable that just a societal collapse will be from a a series of things, not like one big cataclysm. It'll just be an inevitable decline, massive, like we're seeing massive extinction events across enormous amounts of animal species. We're like on the razor's edge of one or two bad things happening to cause massive near extinction level event on humans. Hey Joe, well, I'm always in the middle of something. We're all over it. Yeah, see, that's the thing. See, it's not a black swan event, RC. It's not an event. It's literally just Nathan, that's an interesting observation. The International Space Station, the Americans have urine recycling and the Russians don't. Russians just drink vodka, I suppose. The doomsday clock's always 2 to 3 minutes. See, but I grew up in the 80s, where we all thought we were going to die in nuclear war. It was always 2 or 3 minutes to midnight. You know, Iron Maiden had a song about it. 2 minutes to midnight. I was really into Iron Maiden in the 80s. The big ones I liked were 2 minutes to midnight and Run to the Hills. Those were the ones I was really into with Iron Maiden. Like most country boys or boys from the western suburbs, as a teenager, I was very into Iron Maiden. Y2K bug, Adele. I worked for Telstra on the Y2K bug, and it's kind of interesting in retrospect. A lot of people downplay the seriousness of the Y2K bug because nothing really bad happened. They say, oh, it was all hype and nothing bad was ever going to happen. That isn't true, and that's quite ignorant to say. Now, it did turn into a colossal boondoggle with a lot of technology companies essentially bleeding big corporates dry with all this bullshit they came up with that you had to Y2K proof. But if Western computerized countries had done nothing about Y2K, basically all the financial systems would have fucked up. It's possible the utilities would have gone flaky. Like anything that tried to charge us, the billing systems would have crapped it. It probably would have taken 6 to 18 months of really aggressive catch up. If Western computerized countries had done nothing about Y2K, it would have been bad, and it would have taken about 6 to 18 months to recover from. A lot of hard work for about 6 to 18 months. But yeah, people who say, oh, well, nothing happened. No, because all the changes were made. All the changes were made. That's why nothing happened. One of the worst jobs you can have is security. I was going to say computer security, but physical security too. Because if nothing goes wrong, people start saying they're wasting money paying you, and you go, no, the reason nothing's going wrong is because I'm making sure nothing goes wrong. If you didn't pay me, if I wasn't here doing security, things would go wrong. And that's the other thing, particularly with computer security, you have to win all the time, and the hackers only have to win once. And if you're any sort of bank or someone who does financial transactions, any sort of big entity at all, hackers and script kiddies and malicious people and bored people are banging on your door 24 hours a day. They're trying everything under the sun to get into your systems. And they only have to succeed once. You have to succeed all the time. But the other guys, they only have to succeed once. So it's a really thankless job doing security. Now, I think it was Big Bad Ads that asked, do I see nuclear war in the future? I hope not. And again, saying I lived through the Cold War. I lived through the 80s where we were all pretty sure we were going to die in a nuclear war because tensions between Russia and the US got very, very, very high. and we kind of got past that. But now with someone as ragingly incompetent as Trump, as so far out of his depth that it's terrifying, and he's being tested by North Korea. See, this is what people who've never really analysed North Korea don't understand. They can't really lose. Like, Kim Jong-un even said, like, remember when America dropped that, the MOAB, mother of all bombs, massive ordnance airburst on Afghanistan? It was just a show, right? It was for no strategic or military gain. It was just a show, a force like, we've got them, we're prepared to use them, we've never used one before, but we have now. And Kim Jong-un actually said, you notice they don't drop those on us because they can't, because we'll retaliate. And that's why when they say, ooh, you know, you should drop your nuclear aspirations, we say, up yours, it's the only thing that's keeping us safe. Because if you attack us, we'll retaliate. Afghanistan had nothing to retaliate with. Peter Trump just has said the stupidest shit about nuclear weapons. He's... it's so hard to even express what's wrong with him. It's just... no, that's it. He's just a noise. Joe, you're right. Iraq had no way to retaliate from an invasion. They thought they could inflict enough damage in a ground war, and they couldn't really. But that's what North Korea said. Oh no, we're not going to stop missile tests. We're not going to stop trying to develop a nuclear arsenal because that keeps us safe. And it's hard to fault that logic. Yes, Joe, well, we all know about the weapons of mass destruction and what a horrific lie that was. A lie that cost over 1 million lives. And who even knows how many $1 trillion that lie cost. So, yes, we are all at the mercy of idiots and madmen. But yeah, it's really depressing, isn't it? Do I think the Trump administration will plead the president's mental illness in an attempt to stop the rest of them going through? Well, that's an interesting thing, because I actually saw someone on Fox News saying, because people have been it's been really gathering steam for the last week, questions about Trump's mental and probably physical competency for the role. And I actually saw someone on Fox News say, oh, even if the president, you know, was mentally incapable, that's not reason to impeach him. That is the saddest, most desperate defense ever. And like, well, you know, maybe he's got severe mental competence problems, but you can't impeach him just because he's incompetent. It's like, it's actually in the Constitution. It's in the Constitution about if the president's not capable of fulfilling the role, you take him out. That's the 25th Amendment. And that also reminds me of the hilarity on the 4th of July when NPR, the government-funded broadcaster in the US, decided to tweet line by line the US Constitution. And the Trumpelos lost their shit because they just saw all these things about the people standing up to oppression and whatnot. They saw that as an attack on Trump. It was hilarious. They didn't realize all NPR was doing was quoting the Constitution with no editorializing, with no reference to anything. But Trumpelos are so insecure, and they know what a fuck up Trump is. Just quoting the Constitution at them had them go, you're preaching revolution. That's politics. Like, it was the 4th of July, and they were tweeting the Constitution. Like, people who don't deserve the... Oh, was it the Declaration of Independence musical elevator? I thought it was the Constitution. Are you sure it was the Declaration of Independence? Was it both? I should read the news stories. I should read the news stories more closely. Declaration of Independence. Okay, so it was the Declaration of Independence. I will actually take your word for that. But yeah, they took, because it's all the language in the Declaration is about fighting oppressors and the people rising up and blah, blah, blah. And just these words made Trumpelos shit themselves, which was absolutely hilarious. It's like, nobody said to you that the Declaration of Independence tells us that we should overthrow Trump. You took that. You took the lines about oppression and whatnot. You took that to mean Trump. So it's like, I remember I posted a comic I saw, a webcomic I saw. Someone had done this thing, and it was like this smarmy git saying like, well, I'd like to play devil's advocate. I'm a free speech purist myself, and you know, I'm not politically correct, but I just think... And then when the people he's saying it to just walk away because he's boring, he's going, no, come back. You have to listen to me. You have to. And I posted that on an image sharing site called Imgur, which is basically overrun with fucking right-wing little fuckhead Trump supporters. You've seen it, Piori. Debate me. This side is overrun with these Trump... And all these alt-right wankers started saying, the alt-right's not like that. MRAs aren't like that. And the fucking comic didn't mention the alt-right. It didn't mention MRAs. But it was basically a whiny, self-absorbed fuckwit. And they said, you've just portrayed a whiny, self-absorbed fuckwit. You're saying that's me. No, I didn't say it's you. I most certainly did not say it's you. You saw a representation of a whiny, self-absorbed fuckwit, and you thought that was an attack on you. That's not down to me. That's down to you. You know what you're basically saying you know what you are. And having to put up with moronic comments like, I've never seen a men's rights activist say anything rude to a feminist ever. It's like, if you were going to lie to that extent, I'm no longer going to waste any time on you. When someone says something that egregious, and it's just like, no. It's just like, you know, it's like if you know, a radical lefty commie saying like, I've never heard a communist talk about overthrowing the state and crashing capitalism before. Yes, you do. That's a central thing you say. You know, it's like, I've never heard a men's rights activist say anything vicious to a feminist. What? What is that now? You know, religious person saying, I've never seen someone of my religion say anything that's persecuting any other belief system. That's all you ever do. That is what you do. And it's like, just people who blithely say something that's so outrageously untrue, and then they like expect you to engage them. Why would I engage someone who lies to that extent? Why would I engage someone who argues in bad faith? What do I gain from that? What do I gain by wasting my time with someone who's just lying and contradicting themselves and arguing in bad faith? Why would I waste any time on them? I just, what? What do we do with the fash? Bash the fash. It's still one of my favourite things. When there are people in the public forums, the public spaces, the world, TV politics, who are actual Hitler worshipping, Sieg Heil salute throwing, Mein Kampf idolising Nazi wannabes, and you say, no, Nazis, punch them in the fucking head. Someone going, oh, that's not how politics work. You can't just punch people in the head when you disagree with them. You can't call everyone who disagrees with you out. I'm not calling everyone who disagrees with me a Nazi. I am not saying punch anyone who I disagree with. I'm saying when someone is a Nazi, when they worship Hitler, when they say Sieg Heil, when they preach genocide of other races, that isn't politics. That is fucking genocidal maniacal. Shut the motherfuckers down. You don't argue with Nazis. They're not here for debate. They're here for oppression. They fuck people over who fall for the idea, we should debate them. And I'm not actually that good a student of history, but the rise of Trump and the neo-Nazis who support him has made me read a bit more. And it's terrifying when you look at the rise of Hitler and World War II and the brown shirts, and the way the establishment, the political establishment and the media establishment normalized what was happening right up to the point that where Hitler actually became a totalitarian and actually like shut down the media that dared to criticize him. Like, the media was normalizing Hitler's brown shirts murdering people. They were actually going out and murdering people. And the media was saying like, well, you can't really blame Hitler for the action of extremists. Now, we now know those people were acting under orders. They were directed to do that, to destroy Jewish businesses, to kill people. And the media of the day was normalizing, apart from the ones who were against Hitler right to the end, until they all got arrested and got shut down when the Nazis took complete control. But this whole sort of, well, you can't go and just punch a Nazi, this sort of defense of them goes right up to murder. And it's just like, no, you don't, that's extreme fascism, Nazism, or even, Christ, you get to be boring for so long and then you don't get to be boring anymore, okay? Ugh. Is it, well, neo-Nazi just means new Nazi. And some people want to argue, well, you can't just call them Nazis because the Nazis were specifically Hitler's party at that point in history. So it's not accurate to call someone today a Nazi. You know, neo-Nazi literally just means new Nazi. Whatever you want to call them. They worship Hitler, they do the salute, they say Sieg Heil, they preach Mein Kampf. You know, they're fucking scum. Yeah, a Nazi's a Nazi. And I love the people who go like, oh, well, you know, they like, when you punch them, you make them more sympathetic. And I go, if all it took for you to sympathize with a Nazi is for someone to punch them in the head like they fucking deserve, well, we know what you were all along. You've always been a Nazi sympathizer. You just needed an excuse to come out in the open with it. For fuck's sake, fucking Nazis, fucking people preaching genocide. Anschwiger, how do you identify them? Usually they identify themselves. They wear swastikas. They say Sieg Heil. They preach Hitler. You know, they give themselves away, basically. So, I'm not like, you know, and I've seen people make, and it's a real argument to say like, well, if you start punching Nazis and you say that that's okay, there are going to be people, and there always are people who just like violence. They want an excuse to inflict violence on someone, and they're going to attack someone who's not a Nazi. It will just literally be someone they don't agree with. They will physically attack, and they'll use you talk about Nazis as an excuse. And yeah, because people are like that. But I'm not gonna preach tolerance for Nazis, think, okay, big bad ads, you've asked that sort of question a couple times. Fascism worse than communism? The execution of both. Here's my arguably biased view. Fascism has, by definition, fascism is about abuse of power. It's about persecution of the other. It's fascism is evil. Fascism is inherently evil. Its core ideology is about persecution of the other. It's about power being an end in itself, and you get to abuse that power and oppress other people. Communism in its ideology is not about that. Now, we can point to examples. Anschweiger, Nazi is just a contraction of National Socialism. But we can point to examples. Stalin in China. So why did I say China? Russia. Just Stalin in the USSR. That definitely, he was personally responsible for millions of deaths, both through purges and wars, and just through bad behavior that made millions starve. Okay? So individual communists and communist regimes can easily be as bad as a fascist regime. But if the question is fascism in the abstract worse than communism in the abstract? Yes, by a long way. Because fascism is all about violence and abuse. That's what it is. It's about the destruction of the other. It's about the enforcement of purity. And that is not what communist ideology is. There are lots of examples of people doing exactly that under the name of communism. Anschweiger, National Socialism is literally Nazism. Nazi is just a contraction of National Socialist. So I'm not 100% sure what you're asking. There is no difference between Nazi and National Socialism. It is literally the same thing. Nazi is just the shortened way of saying it. So please do not impersonate Trump. I'm not one for impersonations. I'm not good at impersonation. I have finished my drink. I need more ice so I can make myself another drink. I think I'll do that. Just have another drink. Get some ice. Lots of ice. I like lots of ice. All right. Here we go. Gotta have national pride and no. There's a difference between national pride, nationalism, and fascism. If you just like where you are and you like your country, that's fine. If you call that national pride, that's fine. If you then I look sexy from all angles, big bad ads. If you turn nationalism into an excuse to persecute and murder people who don't fit in with your version of nationalism, you are evil and need to be stopped. Yeah, no, Queensland pride's the most embarrassing of all. I'm sorry. I think it's just expected that I bag Queensland. I don't mind Queensland at all, but it's just a thing that I think I'm expected to do. So, but yes, if someone uses their nationalism as an excuse to persecute other people, they're evil. Well, they'll never punch. I disagree with you completely. I think Nazis have to be shut the fuck down. Zero tolerance for Nazis, because history has shown us If you treat Nazism as if it's just another political point of view, you end up with genocide. You end up with war and genocide. We have, and that's not being dramatic, that's not being hyperbolic, that's simple history shows us if Nazis go unchallenged, that leads to persecution, genocide, and war. Okay? It's as simple as that. Because the Nazi ideology does not allow other people to survive. So, no. Punch the fuck out of Nazis, shut them the fuck down, because the end result, if you don't, is like societal collapse, genocide, and war. Nazis do not allow other people to exist. I have seen the movie This Is England, actually. It's about the rise of the National Front in the skinhead movement. Because a lot of people, because around the 80s, the skinhead movement got somewhat overtaken by the right-wing racist group, the National Front. A lot of people don't realise prior to that, skinheads weren't racist. In fact, skinhead culture comes from like reggae culture, basically. Yeah, I actually like pineapple on pizza. We're trying to be lighthearted. Pineapple on pizza, yeah. I think if you like something on pizza, that's a good reason to put it on a pizza. I know people like to make a big issue. You can't put that on pizza. That's it. Like, if you like the way something tastes, then that's the right thing for you. Send lyrics about the goodness of punching us. Would I sing the song Celtic King? You only would ask that if you've never heard me sing, because I can't sing. You know, sing. There's some great classics in that area. The Dead Kennedys, Nazi Punks, Fuck Off. I was in the 80s, 90s, I got into anarchist punk band called Crass. See, and they were original like 70s punks. Of course, most famously, the Sex Pistols had the song Yo Anarchy in the UK, and there was that whole lot about punks being into anarchy and whatnot. But this group Crass, they were actually a bunch of like sort of hippie anarcho-syndicalists. They were already on an anarchist commune, and punk came along and they thought, "Whoa, this is pretty cool, we're gonna make that," and they formed a band called Crass, and they were just like super political. I am good at yelling, I can yell. And Crass had a couple of really good songs, but they were actually hardcore political, who got into punk music, as opposed to most punk did a little bit of political posturing. Crass were heavily into politics and got into punk. I've got a few of Crass's albums. On a couple albums, they have these great bits where they've recorded things that happened. My two favourites is they were very anti-Falklands War, when Margaret Thatcher dragged Britain into a war with Argentina over the Falkland Islands. They had a couple of things, and there's this one recording of them going on the BBC with some prat Tory who they made look like a total fool, who's also foaming at the mouth like, no, it's terrible, it's offensive. The song, you had to get legal clearance to say the lyrics for the song because it's so bad. Like, oh, the song starts with the lyrics, you shithead, slimy, got it all, and it gets worse from there. And the guys from Crass, just in this really calm voice, we just say, we think the real offence is people like this guy and Thatcher and her government who's sending us to an unnecessary war causing pain and death to so many people. And they came across, the punk band came across as really calm and reasoned, and the Tory MP came across as a complete idiot. What bands do I like? Someone just asked if I like Midnight Oil. I have quite a few Midnight Oil records because that's sort of what I grew up with. Today, Today, what I listen to today, I like a lot of Aussie hip hop, things like the Hilltop Hoods, Briggs, AB Original, and a few others. I like Deantford. I tend to like what's broadly known as alternative music. So like when Triple J put out a compilation for the Hottest 100, I always get that because there'll be some songs on it that I like. Even like there's quite a cross section in what I like. I have a lot of, like on my iPhone, my iTunes music, I have a lot of 80s and 90s stuff because that's what I grew up with. But even more recent stuff like is an indie Australian act called Brendan McLean, sort of like gay disco music that I quite like. So this is quite a mix of stuff that I listen to. And what else did I buy recently? Montaigne, an Australian singer-songwriter called Montaigne. She's really good. AKB48. Nope, never heard of them. Ruka-san, I got you on to Deantford. Well, yes, I do know Ween. I don't hate Ween. I'm not really into Ween. I've liked a couple of their songs, but I'm not sort of super into Ween. What was the gay disco? Brendan McLean. He's really good. He put out an EP last year with the very odd name of Fun Bang 1, and he's released a bunch of stuff independently over years. Fun Bang was a really good, so it's about 6 or 8 tracks. It's really good. Oh yeah, the Push Little Daisies, I know that. AC/DC, I like some AC/DC. I like some early AC/DC more than the sort of Brian Johnson era. But of course there are epic songs with Brian Johnson, things like Thunderstruck and whatnot. When AC/DC do an epic track, they do an epic track. I mean I'm a fond of all the Bon Scott stuff like Dirty Deeds and TNT and Jailbreak. Oh my god. Aussies remember the Indigenous act Yotu Yindi? They did a cover version of Jailbreak and it's really good. Sorry, what was that? Saw the comments, so I was pushing for a Nazi punching holiday. I like that. I like that. We could do that. Talking about things like AC/DC and Midnight Oil, from that era, the band I was really into when I was like a young teen was The Angels. I loved The Angels. Doc Neeson. Hi Rose, how's it going? You know, No Secrets. That album they brought out in like about 1980 with the single No Secrets on it. I was so into that. And I saw them live a couple times and Doc Neeson was just an amazing performer. And then unfortunately he got old and he had an accident, broke some bones, and he suffered chronic pain from then on and got somewhat addicted to pain meds and got all bloated and stuff, and he died a couple of years ago. This is kind of, he was into the Baha Man. Did they ever do anything apart from Who Let the Dogs Out? I do remember Who Let the Dogs Out. But yeah, what have I been listening to lately? I mean, I think I said all the ones I listened to lately. Oh, the sick drone skills. I got sent the video of Pauline Hanson flying a drone, and she might get in trouble because it's actually against the law. She just flew it off a balcony in a high-rise building, and that's actually against the law. And I think, oh my God, really? Really? You're going to... after all the vile stuff she does, you want to make a scene about her flying a drone? Okay. I find it really hard to get worked up about that. I saw the comment being into Tool and Pulsifer. I mean, I was really into 9 Inch Nails in the 90s. And Tool do some good stuff, definitely. Florence and the Machine. I don't mind Florence and the Machine. They're okay. Japanese pop group. God, my kids are into J-pop and K-pop. Does someone mention Baby Metal? Is that who you're talking about? I think Baby Metal are hilarious. Funny little 9 Inch Nails story. Because, okay, I was into 9 Inch Nails in the 90s back with tracks like Head Like a Hole and that legendary concept album they did, The Downward Spiral. That was a fucking great album. Yeah, it was just one day on Facebook I was in the mood and I was sharing music clips that I liked off Facebook, and I shared Hurt, 9 Inch Nails doing Hurt, because that's a really gritty song. I mean, I am basically a really happy person, despite any appearances to the contrary. And Hurt is a desperately sad song, and I've never really felt the feelings that are in the song Hurt, but I love it. And I just played, I shared a link to Hurt on Facebook, and some stupid fucking cunt who thought he was being clever, because the track was uploaded to YouTube about 8 years ago, right? And I shared it, and he's trying to act like he's smarter than me, like he thinks I've just found it, and he's going, oh, a pity you didn't find it 8 years ago. Okay, what the fuck are you talking about, you stupid fucking cunt? I bought the album when it came out in the early 90s. I'm not sharing this saying this is new and I just found it. I'm sharing it saying this is the mood I'm in tonight and I wanted to share this. You fucking moron. And then he got all defensive and go, whoa, because he literally thought the date it was uploaded to YouTube about 8 years ago was when it was released, and it was released more than 10 years earlier than that. And I just ripped into him because it was just, he was being such a smug fucking prick. And I was like, don't fucking talk to me about something that you know nothing about and try and act superior, you fucking prick. Sometimes people just really set me off. I kind of have a zero tolerance policy on Facebook. If someone's an arsehole, I'll just block them. Peter Thrupp, Ladybeard are also hilarious. The Australian cross-dressing bodybuilder, he's a hoot. You're right, Adele, Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt is fucking phenomenal. Like, there are all the stories about when, I don't know how Johnny Cash heard 9 Inch Nails, why he would have heard 9 Inch Nails. Someone played it for him, and he actually met with Trent Reznor and just said like, yeah, man, that's a song. You think the novelty song is dead, RC? What about Gangnam Style? That's only a couple years old. It was viewed however many billion times on YouTube. I think you're wrong. Now I don't mean to be cruel, but I'll shoot you down a few times. Like when you get stuff that's viewed hundreds of millions of times, like what does the Fox say? Can we be honest for a moment? Smooth Criminal's better than Thriller. Hey, if you want to see how uncool I am, I think Alien Ant Farm's version of Smooth Criminal is better than Michael Jackson's. That's how white I am, okay? I am so white, I think Alien Ant Farm's version of Smooth Criminal is better than Michael Jackson's. I think Jason Nevin's remixes of Run DMC are better than the original. I like the original versions by Run DMC, but I think Jason Nevin's remixes he did like 10 years later are better. Adele, I think I listened to the Fox song once because I got sick of people saying it. So, oh God, I recently got, I've got the very bad connection thing happening, so I don't know if this is going to buffer or whatever. See, Toby, taste is subjective. I was never a Michael Jackson fan, but it's just like, Ruki-san, see, that's the thing. I was into 9 Inch Nails, and from everything I've heard of the stuff Trent Reznor's done in the last 10 years, I'd probably like it, but I've never really listened to it. So I can't honestly say I'm into it because I've never listened to it properly. It's just one of those things. I just stopped really being into the stuff. But yeah, I mean, taste is subjective. I don't mind, I've said this, I don't know, 100 times, I don't mind when people disagree and say, oh, well, I just don't like that. Just when someone tries to act superior, like, you're into that. No, I don't like that. I'm above that. Kelly, you like every day I'm shuffling. There's some weird joke of like an overly aggressive journalist going to an interview with LMFAO, just saying, well, Mr. LMFAO, if that is your real name, I put it to you, there are days when you are not shuffling. We followed you with a hidden camera and there were multiple days where you did no shuffling. How do you respond to that? Because that's all journalists do. Now I'm sounding like Donald Trump saying journalists are a waste of time. Oh. 60s Alan Sherman, Bobby Pickett through the 80s, Morris Minor and the Majors, that type of singer style. Again, I still disagree with you. The novelty songs are still around. I think you're just being really selective in what you identify as a novelty song. Do I shuffle? No. For those who don't know, there is an actual dance called the Melbourne Shuffle that came out of like live gigs and club scene in the 90s, I think. And it's a pretty fucking ordinary dance, quite honestly. But, yes. Oh, yes, you're right, Peter. Weird Al still makes music. Weird Al's still going strong. He's a bit of a legend, is the old Al Yankovic. Sharpies dance. Oh my God. Oh, the Sharpie scene. That's something. I had a friend who in the 80s was in the rocker scene in Sydney. The whole thing with the old cars and they had the quiffs and they were wearing plaid shirts and the brothel creeper shoes with the really thick soles. They were so into it and playing old 50s music. He had a couple of really good rare records in his collection. And one was an album that Bill Haley did before the Comets, like before Rock Around the Clock. It was just, Bill Haley, it might have been a band name, I'm not sure. And it's much more country. It's country leaning into rockabilly, which of course then rolled into the rock and roll like Bill Haley and the Comets. But it's much more country leaning towards rockabilly. And there's one song on it that was called Stupid Questions that was brilliant. And you could do a cover of it today, I reckon. I wish I could find it somewhere, because it was just great things like how people ask you stupid questions. And it's like, and it was almost spoken word as he did it. And he's going to pick up his best girl for a date. And he presents her, as he knocks on the door and she answers the door, he presents her with flowers. And she asks the stupid question, are those for me? And he wishes he'd said something like, no, these are for John, the hired hand. I just wanted to show them to you first before I give him to him, because he's the sort of person who'd really appreciate flowers. They're not for you at all. And there was a couple of things like that. And the last thing, he said, I reckon the last stupid question I'll ever hear is just as I die, like I'll fall off a building and like hit the pavement and I'll be lying there with all broken bones bleeding out, and a passerby will lean down and goes, are you hurt? That's the last stupid question I'll ever hear. Just before I die, someone will ask me a stupid question like that. And if I could get that, I reckon I'd probably do a cover of it, because I still think it was a really funny song. Tiny Tim was indeed a Dickens character from which one was it? The Christmas Carol. Tiny Tim's in Christmas Carol. But that was the name of a performer who was in Australia in the 70s, who was most famous for playing the ukulele and singing Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And I think he died quite a few years ago. The performer Tiny Tim died quite a few years ago. The dumbest thing I've ever been asked. Wow. Wow, okay. No, this would be a challenge. I mean, people who aren't stupid ask stupid questions, and it's just some sort of social thing. Like they feel like they have to say something, and so what they end up blurting out is real stupid. Like I've been eating a meal, and someone's come up to, and this is like being in public. I've been with a group like at, you know, a food hall in a shopping mall or something, eating a meal, and someone's come up to me. I'm eating, and someone's come up. The first thing I said, "Oh, are you eating?" And I got a burger in my mouth, and someone's walked up to you and said, "Are you eating?" And I know they're not actually that stupid. There's just some social convention where people feel like they have to say something, and so and they just come out. I'm sure I've done it. I'm sure I've done it too. Everyone asks stupid questions, but as I think the ones that get me when the people ask the thing when it's right in front of you. And it's just, you're right to know, humans are weird. It's just a sign of awkwardness. When someone, 9 times out of 10, when someone asks a really stupid question, it's just a sign of awkwardness. But, okay, like a stupid question that's actually made me angry with how stupid. Okay, for instance, okay, I make my political views no secret, okay? And my views on religion no secret. And I've been in the middle of a rant about how I find all religions stupid. I find the concept of obeisance to a god absolutely ridiculous. And I've had someone completely earnestly go, but surely, you know, you believe in an almighty power who created us and guides our life. It's like, what have I been saying for the last 10 minutes? For the last 10 minutes, I've been saying, I do not believe that. I think that belief is quite stupid. But when someone jumps in, but surely you believe the complete opposite of what you said. No. And I've said it heaps of times, I'm completely okay with people having religious belief, because very good, very intelligent people believe in religion quite devoutly. I get really annoyed at the really mouthy atheists who go, religious belief by definition makes you stupid, because it doesn't. It's not about intelligence. Toby, did I get the Quran video dude said he was going? Well, no, he only said the other night he was going to do it. I will check my mail, see if he sent me a Quran, because I've always been kind of interested in reading it. Only kind of, because you can get like free copies of the Quran online. So I'm not deeply interested, but I'm kind of interested. Throw the homo from the high tower. Yeah, that sort of thing, yes. That's not good. In fact, for those who didn't notice, I actually blocked Video Dude tonight because he was just being boring. He was, I'm going to be outraged. I'm going to say something to upset you. And I was going, it doesn't upset me. It's just boring and stupid, and you need to shut the fuck up. And if you won't shut the fuck up off your own volition, I will shut you the fuck up. So, here's the thing. This is a potentially uncool thing, I think. We were talking about things like, you know, ISIS throw gay people off buildings, which is disgusting and reprehensible and absolutely unconscionable. There's no way it can ever be justified. And they persecute other Muslims, other Muslim sects that aren't theirs. They kill way more Muslims than they do non-Muslims. But I get kind of more upset at their destruction of historical sites. I mean, humans kill humans all the time. It's not good. It's bad. It's not defensible. But when you get people like the Taliban or ISIS destroy historical sites that are thousands of years old, that feels worse than just killing another human. You know, there are too many humans as they are, but something that's part of the history of humanity that can never come back. I kind of get more upset when they do that. And I'm completely okay with someone saying that makes me a bad person. And I'm just being honest. I try to be honest. I try not to be a hypocrite. I try to be honest. I try not to hide how I feel about things. I get really annoyed by people who hide how they feel about things because they're toadying to people and trying to pander to people. I'm not into... Yeah, you're right, Peter. Those Buddhas that the Taliban blew up in Afghanistan, that upset me. So, yeah, I'll be honest. I tend to get a bit more upset when these religious zealots destroy history than when they kill people. Because people kill people all the time. It's not a defense of killing people, but when destroying stuff that's thousands of years old, that's a sort of fundamental part of human history, that seems almost genocidal to me. So yes, so that's me. Just I like to admit, you're right, Joe Will. That is exactly, well, it's tied in with these precepts in Islam against idolatry. And I think I have told the story before about, I had a discourse with it was with a young lad from the western suburbs of Melbourne. He's a Muslim, and he's talking about, because I said I found the attack on people who did the Muhammad cartoons. I found physically attacking the people who did those inflammatory Muhammad cartoons. I found that unconscionable. Look, I think a lot of the people who did the Muhammad cartoons are assholes. Call them assholes. Call them ignorant bigots who are hiding their bigotry behind free speech. Shatner. Wait, what did we say there? That worse once people gave them funds to take over. Oh, selling artifacts on the black market. That religious group in the US, Hobby Lobby, got found out for stealing thousands of artifacts from Iraq. That's a bit of trivia. People say, hey, you jump around a lot. Then I forget. When I change subject mid-sentence and end up going something else. And then, wait, what was I saying before? I forget. I've jumped around too much. I forgot what I was saying. Oh well. I'll just say something else. Yeah, the Hobby Lobby crowd are getting into trouble. Like at the moment, I think they were fined like $2 million because they, stole a couple thousand religious items from Iraq. Tim Minchin put it well. He said, "Defend your right to be sacred, but it doesn't mean you have to." Yes. Would you give people video ideas? I always give people video ideas, Toby. I work on some Facebook groups for YouTubers, and people are always asking for advice and whatnot. And I try and help people and say, whatever, like if people want to talk, I love talking about video ideas. I love talking with people who want to do stuff on YouTube, and I've helped heaps of people about it. The Moman 94, what have you missed in the live stream? Everything. Probably only going to be here another, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. We've been in space, we've been talking religion, we've been talking the Taliban, we've been talking so many things. We've been talking music. We've crossed so many boundaries, but in the next 10 minutes, I'll cross many more. Kelly. Oh, it's the first time watching a stream, is it? Excellent. I'm really glad that you've joined in then. What am I drinking, Toby? I'm drinking this. So, just having a drink tonight, not getting completely blotto, just lubricating myself a bit. Hey, tomorrow's Friday, so I have to wake up for work tomorrow, so there's no way I'm getting blotto tonight. But hey, tomorrow's Friday, so who knows? Oh, Joe, there are some videos on my channel where I am really fucking drunk when I've recorded them. Looking for recommendations. Sorry, are you asking me if I want stuff to watch, or am I recommending stuff to you? Absinthe, good or what? I don't believe the hype about absinthe, by the way. It's just alcohol. All this about wormwood and it makes you crazy. That's just hype. I really like the taste. It's very licorice. I'm always open to recommendations, Bury. I don't have an enormous amount of time. There's a few shows I am watching, and there's a few more I'd like to watch, but I don't really have time. But I'm keen for what people are watching and what they think is good. Eric, well, yeah, I'm glad you caught a bit of it. Oh, The Man in the High Castle. I heard that was good. I will try to watch it because I heard it was quite good. Narcos, I haven't watched Narcos either. I hear an episode of Star Trek finishing out there, so I might be wrapping up soon. If they're wrapping up the Star Trek viewing, I might be wrapping this up. Glow. Oh, I saw some people talking about Glow, and that was getting a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, oh God, what do I want to watch? I want to watch The Handmaid's Tale. I want to watch American Gods. I want to watch... I've still never seen a single episode of BoJack Horseman. I want to watch that because I love animated shows. When the new Star Trek comes out, I want to watch that. Random silly remark. Walked into a bar. Should have been watching Where You Walked. Yes. Yes, I heard Glow was about 80s female wrestlers. What the fuck is wrong with you by National Radio today? That sounds like a good show. A show called What the Fuck is Wrong with You sounds like a good show. I watched an episode of Fear the Walking Dead today. BoJack's so good. Yeah, Jam, I've heard BoJack is really good. I've watched a bit of Miss Fisher, Adele. I like Miss Fisher. I particularly thought it was funny because that show got marketed to cable in the US, and a lot of American viewers were upset at how slutty Miss Fisher was. Like, if she was a male detective banging hot females in the show, no one would think about it. But because she's a female detective and she's banging guys she likes to look at, there was all these feedback from American viewers who were really upset that she was banging dudes. Midsummer Murders I'm not so much into. I have seen. God, I only just caught up on Sherlock, actually. I only just watched the most recent season of Sherlock, which I quite enjoyed. I know it's sort of trendy to slag Sherlock. But yeah, Adele, Miss Fisher is awesome. And the house they used to film a lot of stuff in is just up the road from me. What's it called? God, I've gone a bit blank. Joe, that's it exactly. The people who didn't even realise how hypocritical they were. I'm kind of upset that Miss Fisher just has sex with different men. They don't criticise James Bond for doing it. But if you haven't seen it, Miss Fisher's Murder Mysteries is pretty good. They very selectively filmed that in bits of Melbourne that still look like they looked in the 1930s. Adele, if you come to Melbourne, we'll go there. It's I quite like the place where it is. You can go and visit. Oh God, this has made me forget. No, it's doing my head in that I can't remember what it's called. But you get a tour of this house and it's quite cool. Are Americans as weird as people think? I think they can be. Joe, I'm sure the women who check you out have good taste. Well, what was that one? Oh, sorry, look what Kelly said. Western comes to Japan, not seen once. Scorsese, director. I'm not sure what you're talking about. That sounds interesting, Kelly. You're right, RC. There is a lot of stuff in Tasmania that looks old. But no, in Melbourne, you can be really selective. There are certain places you can shoot that, if you have a really tight framing, still look like they looked in the 1930s. Religion, pardon the typo. Yeah, I mean, but there is so much that's good at the moment. Would I ever do a dating segment advice? Yes. Peter, I should get Viola around again, and we should do dating advice again. Although we're both in relationships, so maybe if I found someone to collab with who wanted to talk about dating, I reckon it'd be lots of fun for me to do a dating advice with someone who's young and is doing insane shit like Tinder that I've never had to deal with, and I'm just talking. Oh, see, I should do that, Peter. I've got to find someone who's young and doing the dating thing. Come on, see, I'm all about the advice. Oh wow, reboot the Sullivans, my God. That was when I was a kid. For those who don't know, the Sullivans was an Australian family drama set during World War II. So full on. That was such a big show at the time. See, Adele, there's a difference between advice and action. Joe Will, Viola is smart, pretty, funny, all these things. She's the complete package. She's got a boyfriend too, so. But we're virtually neighbours now. She lives just down the road from me. When I've moved to another suburb, and she's just around. The amount of people I've found out that I'm now virtually neighbours with, like people I've known for a while. Oh, Comsy, I have a crush. Mrs. Angry is my crush for the last 10 years. Ooh, fully automated luxury gay space communism sounds like a good name for an album. Just throwing it in there. Am I going into VidCon? Hell yes I am, Gavin. It's going to be here in mighty Melbourne. I've bought my ticket. I've got my creator ticket to go to VidCon. I'm very serious, Bury. I'm incredibly lucky. Excellent. VidCon just for catching up to people and hanging. Would I marry Viola? No, she's too young. She's like 25 years younger than me. That's just creepy. No, I enjoy friends. We've made a video, like Viola and I used to do videos with our mutual friend Eva. And we did all relationship advice and sex advice things. But no, it's like, it's creepy. I mean, look, sure, I'm sure some people have relationships where they're 25 years apart in age and it's completely non-creepy. But for me, no. Even if I was single, if someone's 25 years younger than me, that's too young. The friend zone. We made a video about the friend zone, and it's like, why is that such a bad thing? Why is having someone as a friend a bad thing? What are your thoughts about someone who's an expat, considers himself such and such country that chose to migrate? Oh, look, migrating is a very interesting thing, and I don't really have any desire to do it. I understand people doing it and stuff. Yeah, I just kind of like where I am. And okay, I've only ever lived in Australia. I've visited other countries. I've had friends who've been citizens of multiple countries. So that's a really interesting question, actually. Is someone really of that country if they've migrated there? It's a really good question. And I think you can have a conversation about that without it becoming weird and hateful and xenophobic. When you can't have a conversation with someone, that's such. If you can talk about a controversial subject, but actually have a conversation, that's good. I can talk with someone who has a different view if they can talk about it. Anita calling sad fuck of ass hat human garbage. That's the politest thing you could say to him. Oh, hate that guy so much. But yeah, that was a funny thing. Look, I'm going to go to bed. That's 90 minutes of this. Facebook could kill YouTube if they paid independent creators and respected independent creators. They could fucking damage YouTube big time. Until they do that, they won't have the final sort of nail in YouTube's coffin. But yes, thank you everyone for joining me this evening. as usual, I had a really good time. You're wonderful people to hang out with. I'll be back at some point. You know, Aidsy might be well. I've got a video Aidsy sent me that I have to edit and put up sometime in the next couple of days. I might have an end of week video tomorrow or Saturday. Adele's Tinder swiping. Awesome. I'm going to bed. So thanks for hanging out, everyone. It's been a really good evening. And I'll be back soon, you know, like with some pre-recorded videos, probably do another live stream on the weekend, hell, maybe even tomorrow night if I don't feel like recording a video. Yeah, Pauline Hanson, swipe right, no. Have a good time, everyone. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for hanging out, and bye now. See you later.